All right, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. So once again, welcome to the time management workshop. And if you don't know us already, my name is Bree Ford, or Brienne is my full name, but I never go by that. And I'm the enrollment coach. So I am here to help you get through basically the enrollment process until you're admitted into the program. And then once that happens, I pass you on to the lovely Amanda here. So Amanda is our academic advisor, and she helps you build out your graduation plan and also just really keep you on track to, of course, the reason why we're all here, right? And that's graduation.
And I think it's important as we talk here to talk about some of the issues we've had with time management. So you know that we're coming from a place of lived experience.
Yes.
So while I was in my master's program, I had an MBA, finished it up during COVID. I was also working full-time as an advisor. I was teaching 12 credits of a freshman seminar class and working part-time at Target while going to school. So definitely time management came into play.
And when I was in the IMC program myself, I was not only working full-time as a marketing manager, I was teaching part-time, and I also obviously was enrolled full-time as a graduate student. So definitely, time management plays into everything, not only your job, but, extracurricular activities, things that you do outside of work. You have to kind of know how to marry it all and make it all happen together to also maintain your sanity, because sometimes that's very difficult to do. What did you create your PowerPoint in? Oh, this is created in Canva, actually. Canva is like every marketing person's dream. And yeah, Canva, yes. I'm the weirdo that actually even loves Canva so much I pay for it. So but love Canva. Here's our I guess unsolicited plug for Canva. All right. So no shame. Love it, Lynette.
So I think this is a great time to first share kind of what were your past issues with managing your time. So if you guys want to share, take a moment to share in the chat. What were some of your past issues managing with time? I can share mine. My biggest issue when I was in my grad program and trying to balance everything, I sucked at grading my poor students' assignments because I was so busy worried about my assignments. So that was one of my biggest issues with time management and going to school and everything.
And I love that you mentioned adult ADD, because fun fact, I discovered I had ADHD while I was in grad school. So it was an incredible hurdle for me to overcome. And it was so funny because when I talked to my mom about it, she was like, well, yeah, I kind of figured you did. And I was like, well, here I am, Mom, 25 years old and just finding it out. So it absolutely is a thing. And obviously, I'm a fan of getting medicated because it has changed my life, but that might be a little bit TMI, but it's just nice to have that option there, and it absolutely is a thing. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because it can. So if anyone else wants to unmute themselves also, you don't have to put it in the chat, but any of your past issues with time management, please feel free to share, or you don't have to if you don't want to, but. So Kirsten says, sticking to a schedule is sometimes hard, especially when you have a busy lifestyle and things come up. Absolutely. Daphne, kids, parents, work, everything. Yes. Dami says, family, children, my PhD program, GA position, teaching. Yes. So Dami is actually working on her PhD and in our program at the same time. She is awesome. You're a rock star, Dami. And yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned parents also, Daphne. Amanda and I will kind of vent to each other sometimes about our family drama, but it's definitely a thing, and there's a certain aspect in life too where the roles reverse, and you definitely become more apt to help your parents and kind of need to be there for them as well. And we're all adult learners, so we know that we're going to be balancing that. Gina says, no such thing as TMI. Thank you for sharing your journey. Knowledge is power. Yes, absolutely. Knowledge is power. And it's so crazy to just realize how many hours go by. You say working on keeping a schedule and keeping it, checking it to keep on track.
I think for her, it's perfectionism. When you want to be, you want everything to be perfect and spending so much time on it. Yes.
Yeah.
Shifting priorities. Absolutely. Trying to stay on schedule when things pop up. Absolutely. You guys got this.
Yes. Yeah, we're actually gonna dive into those here a little bit later. So these are great points to bring up. But the next question is, what concerns about online grad school do you have? Or what concerns have you had for those of you who are currently in the program that kind of popped up out of nowhere? Maybe you didn't expect to have those concerns. For me, it was, I had never been in an online learning space before. I was very much a traditional learner. I liked to have my professor right in front of me so that I knew they were there. So I had a lot of apprehension coming into the IMC program, but just the amount of support that was there right off the bat within the intro course really helped me see that, you know, this is something that I'll be able to do. So any other concerns? Dami, good point. Some faculty members are not family welcoming, especially for those who have kids. I'm so sorry that you've had that experience in the past. I know that can be a thing, but yeah, that could definitely be a concern that pops up. But I will say a lot of our faculty members do also have children as well. So they definitely know the struggles of juggling so many hats and being a parent and being pulled in multiple directions.
And I think your second point, Dami, about, only the instructors only picking their course is the one you're in at that time. I think one of the things we talk about, especially in our program, that consistency of the schedule makes it easier for you and that instructor to have that communication and you being, I think, transparent about what's being expected of you. So great.
Absolutely. Great points.
So I know those of you who are already in the program, you can definitely add to, talking about what to expect in the program, and we won't necessarily share everything in the chat, but if you want to share your experience about what to expect for those who are coming into the program, I always just thought, want to take a moment to kind of review with the incoming students what you can expect in our classes. So with online learning in our online classes, you start out each week learning or reading your textbook, the lectures, watching videos, there's supplemented material. There's then Wednesdays are when your first assignments are due, and that is going to be your discussion post. So this is where you're going through and posting to the discussion board the response to the instructor. And then you're by Friday, you need to respond to a minimum of 3 of your classmates. And then Monday is your homework, when your homework assignments are due. So as you're taking a look here, this is the typical week of a Marcom student in our program. So maybe your Tuesday, your new week begins. Wednesday, you're submitting your assignment or your first discussion response. With the initial post, I always like to tell people, when responding to classmates, the key things you have to remember is it's by Friday. Don't wait till Friday to do it. And then if you want that A in the class, you definitely need to do more than 3 responses to your classmates. Some of those faculty are really going to expect that for that A level work. And then Monday, your homework assignments are due. So, this papers, projects, presentations, industry examples, there's going to be all kinds of things that you're going to have to do. But the nice part with it, when it comes to time management or comes to planning things, is this is consistent. That schedule will be consistent as you're going through the program. Today what your schedule is going to be like throughout for the next, year and a half as you're completing the program.
Absolutely. I think that was one of the nicest pieces to this whole puzzle for me as an IMC student. I knew exactly what to expect as soon as my next class in the next term started. I knew the discussion boards, the responses, the papers, they were all due on these days, and I built it into what my schedule was. So definitely helpful there. So the next portion we're going to talk about is kind of the slippery slope of procrastination in the classroom. Obviously, this is a worst case scenario situation. This is not what we would ever want for any of you, but it's good to talk about it, just to know that this is what can happen if you're not careful and you're not able to plan ahead of time. So the first thing that we have on the slide is, procrastination and poor time management. So what happens when this starts? You're going to start missing assignments, missing discussions. For me personally, the one time that I had really kind of just had a crazy week at work and crazy week teaching, I forgot to do my responses. Completely forgot. It's like I didn't put it on my calendar, I didn't put it on my planner, and I didn't plan it in my week, so I forgot. So what happens when that begins? Obviously, you're going to lose points if it can't be completed. So in that case, I couldn't make it up. It was already Saturday, so the responses were due, and I missed them, so I missed points. The next is that you would receive a 0 if it can't be made up. So obviously, if it can still be completed, or maybe you only completed half of it. So in that case, I only completed the discussion and not the responses. I lost points for the responses, not the discussion. But if it's past both the discussion and the responses, then you're going to receive a 0 because you can't make it up. It's already passed. It's done. So the next part that would happen is if it's multiple times and you forget multiple times in a row, which would be awful, but having to either drop the class, and that's going to prolong your graduation, and you'll have to talk with Amanda and prolong your graduation plan, or you might end up failing the course if it's too late and you don't wait, you wait past that moment when you need to withdraw from the class. That's going to damage that GPA. And of course, if you haven't met with Amanda yet, you might know that you need at least a 2.75 to graduate from the program. So how is that going to affect the rest of your coursework? How is that going to affect your graduation? Are you going to be able to graduate? So this is obviously, something we don't want to happen for you all, and definitely not to a point where you could have an unrecoverable GPA. But recognizing your poor time management or how you can save your GPA by becoming a planner, that's how we move forward. So this is why we're doing this, so we can kind of prevent this from happening on any level for you.
And I think this is a good time to kind of think about kind of examples of how this has happened from other students' experiences. So there was a student in the program who had, because of work and other responsibilities, was turning in late assignments consistently. This person had started the program in 2017. It's now 2022 and still had not graduated. And so having that discussion, and in the one class, the instructor was reaching out to us and saying, this person's consistently late all the time. And that ended up hurting this person's GPA. So where it just kept building pressure for her, so that she had to earn an A in capstone to graduate, which is not, that's pressure you don't need going into a late class. Another thing, I had a student who consistently late on things, could get some work done, but consistently missing points and not addressing all the things that needed to be addressed in the assignments or discussion. And so, having that conversation with that person, it was tough to say, well, yeah, you're getting this stuff in, but you're not addressing everything because you're waiting to the last minute. You don't have time to double check your work. And then lack of communication. So I've had a student who had things come up. It was an emergent, not quite emergency. They knew this was coming, but something happened. And so they delayed talking to the instructor. Had they reached out to the instructor in a timely fashion, the instructor was going to be more than happy to work with them and allow them to submit an assignment late with no penalty, because the instructor understood. But by procrastinating, the student didn't get a chance to, and so took a 0 on the final. So that was, not a great experience.
I think it's important, the communication aspect of everything, not only in your schoolwork, but even your job. It's a skill that's going to carry through with you if you get in the habit of over communicating. If something's happening at work, talk to your professor. If something came up family wise, talk to your professor, because the communication aspect of the program is everything. We're all working professionals or soon to be professionals, and that's very much encouraged on not only the professor side, but just with all of us in general within the program. We want to know so that we can be aware and we can help you in any way that we can. So that's always nice to know. So now we're going to talk a little bit about how to succeed with time management. All right. So first thing is staying motivated. So the first thing, one of my favorite movies, by the way, is it's a Will Smith movie. I cannot remember the name of it. So
Pursuit of Happiness?
Maybe, but he says, "What's your why?" in the movie. So if anybody knows which one it is, put it in the chat, because it drives me nuts because I can't ever remember. But what is your why? And it's like my favorite thing to think about in the morning. What's getting you out of bed? What makes you excited to go to do your classwork? What is your why behind why you're getting this degree? Is it, a promotion that's waiting for you on the other end? Is it that dream job that, maybe you want to work for Netflix, or you want to work in social media? What is that why that's going to cause you to stay motivated within the program?
And sometimes when it comes to your why, put a sticky note somewhere, something that you see all the time to keep you with that. And that goes on to how are you motivated? So you can be motivated in one of two ways, and this is coming down to intrinsic motivation. So this is your internally rewarded, or extrinsically motivated. And that means externally rewarded. So think about that. I think identifying how you can reward yourself for completing your work. Is it whether it's school or work or whatever's going on? So maybe it's, Starbucks, you need that Starbucks caffeine hit. So great, reward yourself for getting that. Maybe it is that 4.0 GPA that you're working towards. Knowing what motivates you when you're feeling stressed, we can go ahead and you can take a look and getting through that. When I was in undergrad, I used to motivate myself, and I'm going to age myself, by buying CDs. Anytime I finished a big assignment, I would go buy a CD.
So sorry, there we go. We got the note that you all weren't seeing the same thing as us, so I apologize. There we go. So how are you motivated? Continue. Sorry.
So next would be, how do you stay motivated?
So how do you stay motivated? For me, it's just making sure that I keep myself on track towards that goal. So keeping my goal in mind, and how are you staying motivated to keep working towards that goal? It's always important to also know, what's going to cause you to maybe get distracted, or what's going to be the thing that gets you off track, so that you know how to recognize it and you can stay motivated towards what your end goal is, which of course, graduation.
And I think there are tools and resources to help you with staying motivated and stuff, like turning on do not disturb on your phones. Yes. And I think that leads into identifying your priorities. So one of the big things I often have to discuss with students is, what are you okay with? So based on your priorities, family, school, work, where do those rank? What is your most important thing with all this stuff? And then having that discussion that, like, if school is important, but it's not the most important thing, are you okay with a B grade? Sometimes you have to accept that based on your other priorities. A B is going to be good, and be happy with that. And that's okay. So once you identify your priorities, you can then have those conversations with yourself, first off, of what your expectations are. And then you can also, I think, be able to say to people, well, no, I can't go through and I can't do this. Daphne, I love your point that the B is good enough. A B is great enough. Okay. I think employers don't really look at GPAs too often. They want to know your skill set. So coming through and saying, did I come out of this learning what I wanted to learn, is having that correct mindset will be incredibly helpful. So I'm Daphne, I'm glad you got through that realization.
That's something that I had to also realize when I was in the program. And I can't remember, I think it was one of my friends that is very good at making sure that I stay in reality. But she said to me, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have an A in every single class. It's going to happen sometimes, but you're learning. And I think that the feedback in the classroom also was incredibly helpful for me. At first, I did not like it because I was like, what do you mean this isn't good enough? Or what do you mean I didn't expand further on this? But I started seeing, wow, okay, yes, I did miss this aspect of the assignment, or I didn't really elaborate enough on this. And that's when those are your B moments, right, Daphne? That's your B moment. And it's okay, because you know what you did and you're learning from it, like Amanda said. So the last point would be practicing successful scheduling, whether that's, an Outlook calendar or your planners, whatever it is, making sure that you are scheduling in these time blocks for you to be successful, so that you have those moments where, okay, this is my paper time and I'm going to work on this paper. We'll get into this a little bit further on in the presentation, but that scheduling time block is so important for your success.
So one of the things that helped me learn about time management was looking at the 4 quadrants. This was developed by Stephen Covey. So everything can be really divided up into, is it an urgent task for you, or is it not urgent? How important is it or not important? So we start out in quadrant 1, which is the urgent and important. So this is where our procrastinators live. Everything is important. So this is almost like the house is always on fire. Okay. You're waiting to the last minute to do a project. You're waiting to the last minute to get your homework done. Working on Mondays for your homework assignments, leaving you no time. So this results in an opportunity for you to feel more burnt out, more stressed. You feel like you have no control in your life. Sometimes you have to visit this area. Life happens. You do not want to spend a ton of time here. Where you do want to spend all your time, or the most of your time, is the quadrant 2, which is not urgent, but still important. This is when you get to a point where you can plan or do everything. You don't feel as if you don't feel as stressed. And I can tell you, as someone here at work, now that I've gotten into planning kind of when everything is happening, once we switch different timeframes from current students to new students, I'm able to balance everything better. I'm not stressed about it because I've already planned ahead for that. Quadrant 3 is the urgent, not important. I like to refer to this as the other people's problems quadrant. So this is where people come to you. You get your meetings pop up all the time, distractions, people calling you, all this stuff. This is not a fun place to live. How I got out of the quadrant 3, or the other people's problems, I was always a yes person. Yes, I will happily do this. I can do this. And I would push my stuff aside, which does not help. I learned to start asking, I would love to help you. What is your deadline? This allows you to set up kind of a negotiation to see when you can turn things in, or when you can help, or to limit the amount of your help. You can say, I can definitely do this, but I can only do so much. This will allow you to still feel helpful. You're a yes person like me, but also get your stuff done. The 4th area is quadrant 4. They refer to it as slacker. I like to call this what should be the sorbet quadrant. This is social media, Netflix, your time wasters, different things like that. You want to go to quadrant 4. You want to visit it. You need that time. That's why I call it a sorbet. You need to cleanse your palate every once in a while, maybe switching between topics, or going from, I'm not the type of person that can go straight from work into classwork. I need a moment to switch brains. Quadrant 4 allows you to do that, okay? But you don't want to spend a ton of time in there. So, oh, yeah.
So the next segment is a little bit more about talking about that scheduling. Sorry about that. The implementation of your successful scheduling. So how to balance all the quadrants into the space that you're working. So obviously you want to be a planner to help with your time management, especially when it comes to grad school. But adding student to your plate may be a little bit daunting, and that's okay. That's what we're doing this for, is to make sure that you are able to schedule in all of these different times. So the first thing you need to think about is your research and your reading. Grad school is a lot of reading, and you have to plan for those things, because even when you think, oh, research won't take me that long, I'll just look up a couple articles. But if you're lucky, the first couple articles you read might work, but most of the time it's going to take a little bit more digging. So make sure you're blocking out that time for researching and reading these articles that you're going to use to source in your paper, or you're going to use for your discussion boards. How are you going to block out that time? So the next is blocking your schedule. So really helping yourself to think, okay, I have discussions due on Wednesdays, so maybe I should work on it on Tuesday night and get it ready, and then read it one more time in the morning with a fresh brain and posting it, first thing in the morning, or maybe on your lunch hour. Blocking out that schedule. Same thing with your paper. With the research and reading, blocking that time out, maybe you have some time for your paper and then some time for your discussion. It just kind of depends on how you want to go about that. And next is reviewing and using your syllabus. Sounds a little bit silly, but they are so helpful and so useful. They're there as a resource for you as a student. What I used to do is I would get that syllabus, on the first day of class or whatever, couple days before when the class opens, and I would write it in my planner immediately so that I knew what I had coming up. And then the next part that you never want to forget about is taking a break. You still need a break. You need to find that balance. What is it that you like to enjoy? Block it into your schedule. I know that sounds crazy, and maybe that's my A brain, type A personality coming out, but I try to make sure I always am intentional with my time. So that if I have a time frame on my calendar that says, no, you're going to go do something you like to do today, or maybe you like to shop, go shopping, build that into your schedule. So you're like, you know what? No, it's Saturday morning. I'm going to go get my coffee in the first thing as soon as I leave the house. I'm going to go get a coffee and I'm going to go shopping. Whatever it is that helps you kind of ease your mind and relax your brain, build it in because you need it.
So taking a look at that, let's think about how you can actually do all this. So many people use calendars or planners, whichever works for you. You want to do things like blocking out that time we keep talking about. So I used to, when I was taking online classes, I used to block out, 5 to 6 every day is my homework time. So that was just something I said. Everyone knew it, my friends, my family, 5 to 6. Put that on there. Put on there that when things are due, put on your calendar what you're going to accomplish. I think being specific will help you see in here, well, I need to block time. I'm going to read chapter 3 this week. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z will help you. What also may help is colors. I can't do anything without different colors. Even my Outlook calendar looks like a Christmas tree threw off because there's all these colors all over the place. But that's how I kept track of it. This class was red. This class was blue. Work stuff is there. Don't forget to put your family time on the calendar and blocking time out, because being able to see that, every Wednesday we do a family dinner and that's what we're doing, that'll allow you to plan what the rest of the week. So going through, and you will have access to the class again 3 days before. So this will allow you to start doing this early. So going through and planning. Now, if you are I used to think I was a calendar person. In fact, for work purposes, I am. Meetings, all that stuff, calendars are my friend. However, I learned while I was in my grad program that when it came to work or even homework or projects that needed done, calendars are not my friend. So I have to do to-do lists, or I call them my task lists, and I have several. I'll create a task list for a project. So if there's a paper coming up, I will put down on my task list, I need to research X, Y, and Z. I need to draft. I need to set, plan, and when I want to do everything as I'm going throughout the semester. And then I can say, okay, well, this is where I need to be. And then each week I have a list of things that I need to accomplish that week. So I'm able to look at my big projects and put that onto this week is this part. So I don't know if anyone else has found that they're not a calendar person. That was the biggest eye opener for me, is to realize doing stuff on a calendar was not helpful, but task lists have been. Some people I know use the sticky note method. They just have to have sticky notes everywhere. That is fine. I like Daphne. She's like, I have a family calendar, and then
I was gonna say, Daphne, please share whatever it is. So
I have a family meeting and let everyone know my house, what class. This is so good having that conversations, and we're gonna come and talk about that in just a second in a family meeting. I think that is so great to do. It's so challenging to balance all that stuff. Getting into accountability is so great.
Exactly. Perfect segue. After
this.
this.
So I would like to talk about then backup plan. Life happens, right? So it's going through and thinking about, well, if having in your mind the worst case scenario and how you're going to overcome it. What happens if the Wi-Fi is down in your home? What are you going to do? Because that due date is still coming up there. I think going through and asking, having that idea of work and what that's coming up to, if there's all of a sudden a big project, someone's out, you have to step in. What are you going to do? How are you going to communicate that? So thinking now, so this is almost kind of like crisis communications, thinking now for that plan that will allow you to when stuff happens, you won't be as stressed out because you already know how you're going to handle it.
Absolutely. And Daphne, perfect segmentation into this portion. Who's on your home team? I love that you share a calendar with your whole family, because I thought about doing that with my husband just so he knows, because sometimes he'll be like, wait, where are you again tonight? That's right. But having a family meeting, letting everyone know in the house, that's incredible. That is exactly what you need to do. Sometimes we need people on our home team, whether that's family, friends, coworkers, whoever it may be for you. Having them let you stay on track. So your family calendar, set it up, make sure that they know. Your friends. A lot of times when I was in grad school, I would make my friends come over and write papers with me. So if they were in grad school too, we'd have a paper writing party, and we'd drink coffee and sit there and complain about grad school the whole time while we're typing away, whatever it is. If you have those study groups, or you have that accountability on a calendar that says, hey, I'm supposed to be working on my paper right now. If you see me on Instagram, or you see me cleaning the kitchen when I'm not supposed to be, make me go sit down and do this. Or your coworkers. A lot of times, right now I'm in classes again right now, and yesterday I told Amanda I'm going to work on my paper during my lunch so that I can really focus on this. And I took my hour lunch and I focused on my paper, and she held me accountable. And that's great. That's what you need, so that you have people in your corner and they can help you and encourage you throughout this time. Grad school is hard. Don't let anybody tell you it's not, because it is hard, but it's so rewarding, because it's really helping you get to that next level of education and expanding your mind.
And I think Gina made a great point in the chat about setting expectations. So having that, sometimes, having that conversation with your family or friends or coworkers of what you can do. So, talking with your family, you may have to say, listen, for the next, what I did when I was in my grad program is I told my family, well, for the next year, I'm busting my butt in grad school. So I'm sorry, when I come to family functions, I will probably have my laptop with me so I can get work done. It's setting that expectations to know that, so they know what to ask of you, even at work. And I think this is sometimes the most difficult conversation to have at work with, especially like your bosses or something. But having that conversation with your boss to say, hey, I am in grad school. I may not be able to do a ton of overtime this week because it's our finals week. So letting your boss know too, those expectations, so then they can support you and can help you. And, as she said, Bree said, and as it says on the slide, we are here to help you. So, excuse me. So don't hesitate to reach out to us, your faculty. If you need someone to call you every week to be a check-in, I'm happy to do that. I will check in with you like I do with Bree and say, hey, have you gotten that paper done? What are you doing? So don't hesitate to reach out to us here. We want you to be successful. We are part of your team.
Absolutely. Daphne, I love that your mom calls you every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My mom does the same thing, actually. She called me last night and said, did you get your paper done yet? So that's that right there. Perfect example of just who's on your home team, who is keeping you in check, who's making you accountable. Kirsten says, I found a buddy in class that's really helpful. For example, I've had 2 classes with Nora from Tallahassee, and we check in on each other and ask questions. I think it's great to form relationships with fellow students. Absolutely. We are loving seeing these friendships just merge from these class experiences, where actually our marketing specialist has done a really great job of making sure she gets different basically all kinds of different perspectives from students and professors as well, of what kind of relationships they've been able to build throughout the program, and getting their testimonies on that. And it's been really neat. So if you have time, go look through the website, because we have different testimonials that are there that have talked about this exact thing that Kirsten has brought up. So you definitely have the space now. Unfortunately, when I was in the program, we did not have Zoom. We only had Google Hangout, and it wasn't very tech friendly at the time. So I really am envious of you all, because you have things like Zoom and GroupMe, and there's just such great ways to really build your network and build those relationships. Like Amanda mentioned at the beginning too, add each other on LinkedIn, see what you're doing. That's the best part of this program, in my personal opinion, is that you get to see other perspectives and see what they're working on in their roles. So make sure you're building out that network.
And I think for those of you who are starting the program this upcoming spring, as Daphne and Kirsten pointed out to you, that friendships are able to be developed. So take that opportunity. Know you're not going through this program alone. You have the support here.
Yes. So. All right. So any questions or any other perspectives that anyone wants to share? This has been wonderful content. So you all have been doing great.
And especially if you have been struggling, or you think you might be struggling, if you need another idea, this is a great way for people to bounce off of it. So feel free to unmute yourself.
Yes, please speak out. Yes, great. Thanks, Lynette. That's awesome. Putting the link in there.
My LinkedIn is in the bottom of all of my emails. So it's in my signature.
Thanks.
So feel free. Okay.
Oh, ooh, that's awesome, Katie. She created an Outlook calendar and shared it with her boss. That way he knows all of her deadlines. That's amazing, because it's so important and so crucial for, I think it's really important to share with your boss when you have timelines coming up or deadlines that you need to reach, they need to know why you're stressed. If you come in looking a little bit tired because you have 2 papers you're working on, that's a good thing to know. So absolutely, yeah, that's true support. So true, Lynette. Katie, that's great that you have that support. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share, but please keep adding in the chat if you want to share your LinkedIn, you would like to share any other advice or any questions that you may have. And I'll also be reaching out just because I would love some feedback from you all. And if you have other suggestions that you'd like to have workshops on, please share them with us. We're looking to do a few of these every semester. So please just keep in touch. Of course, you all should by this point have both of our communication contact methods. So hopefully you feel comfortable to reach out and let us know, but we'd love to have some feedback from you all as well.
And I do want to remind the new students who are starting this spring that orientation has opened up.
Yes.
So please go ahead and get started on that. This is going to help you. There actually is an assignment, module 4, that talks about kind of planning your time in the program. So this is a great segue to get into. You kind of have ideas of how you're going to do the module 4 assignment. So if you haven't gotten into orientation, please do so and start, talking to everyone.
Absolutely. Well, if there aren't any other questions, here we go. New students, use bookmarks in Chrome and save your things. Yes, that's such a good idea. I can't even tell you how many times I would lose articles that I found. Also, another great thing to use is our online library through WVU. We have great resources through our online library. So make sure you save those in your websites and everything as well. That's great.
Save all your assignments because it will come in handy for capstone.
Google Cloud, Microsoft Cloud, whatever it is, put it in the cloud. And the library has a great chat. Yes, it does. Thank you for that, Daphne. All right. Well, anything else that anyone can think of? I'll give you some time back to your day. I feel like that's the infamous final words of every Zoom meeting, but thank you all so much. Oh yes, Dami, please. Dami has a question. Yes, absolutely. Please unmute.
Apologies in advance. You might hear a baby screaming.
That's all right.
All right. So for the assignment is due on Monday, discussion Wednesday, then responses on Friday. So and from the presentation, you said the week typically starts on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's one way that you can organize it.
Okay, that's one way. So for the discussion, will it be based on the current week's topic? Say for example, if the week starts on Tuesday, will it be okay for Tuesday's course, probably another week? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or it will be based on last week's course?
That's a great question, and we get that a lot actually. So if you're in week 2, that content, so let's say you're talking about mobile marketing that week. Your discussion so technically, since the weeks go from Tuesday to Tuesday, your discussion for Wednesday will be both based on mobile marketing. Your responses will be in response to your classmates' post on mobile marketing. And then your paper will be due that following Monday on mobile marketing and the content within the course. So it's all very consistent, stays within the flow of the classroom, but like Amanda said, it starts on Tuesday. So you have from Tuesday to Tuesday, and then your assignments start on Wednesday. And then that paper will of course be due on Monday after the discussion post.
And keep in mind, because you have access to class 3 days early, you can plan ahead and work ahead. In fact, you should. We definitely encourage it. So you can go through, and if the Tuesday to Tuesday thing doesn't work for you, because it may not for everybody, you can go through and go, if you look, plan, take advantage of the 3 days and go, well, no, I can start my discussion. I used to do, when I was online stuff, Sundays, I would finish my homework that was due on Mondays on Sundays. So on, either Monday or Sunday, I would start doing that following week work. So don't have, you will find which way works for you, and it may have to change per class. So don't worry. Hey, can you hear me now? Yay, okay. All right. Bree's computer died. So sorry about that, everyone. So this is what we talk about, having a backup plan.
That's right.
We planned.
Perfect timing.
I had my laptop ready just in case. So we do appreciate your so yes, using a cloud or another way to back up your material is absolute Dropbox, whatever works for you. Definitely set that up, Donnie. Does anyone else have any other last minute ideas or last minute questions on an approach you may need to think of? We're more than happy to help.
That is a great that's a great option, Dami. Like something like Dropbox is a great substitute, so that you always have access to those files. That's awesome.
Absolutely, Daphne. Go ahead and anyone can unmute themselves anytime.
Okay, so I think Dami asked a question about like.
Hang on, I can't hear you. Let me.
Oh, okay.
Daphne,
let me know. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It was me. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Okay. And Dami asked how I create my folders. So I use two things. I have my Google Drive, and then I have my bookmarks. On my Google Drive, I have a WVU folder, and then I create a folder for every one of my classes. So I have a folder for discussion post, and I copy and paste my entire discussion post in there, my responses, and I'll put anything that any student responds to me on, so that I can see that for the future. Then I have an assignment folder. So I have all of my assignments, all of my papers. And then I have a resources folder for anything, because sometimes like the professor will respond and like share an article on someone's other thing. And so they do that as well. So I put that, and literally what I do is I copy that folder system for every single one of my classes. So I'll always have that, whatever. I also have one, sheets. So like what's the same as like an Excel spreadsheet, and that is my WVU grades. So I will put in every single thing. So I start that off for every class, and it'll say week 2 assignment, week 2 discussion post, and then I create the formulas so I know exactly what points I get for each thing. And then that's kind of like how I set myself up. I've gotten better with it. Amanda knows I've had some struggles with with real life, right? So real life happens. But I'll give myself, if I want a B, now I'm accepting of those grades. If I want to be, I know that I need to get anywhere from 199 to 206. And that's a shame that I probably know those numbers, but you go on to your syllabus, and that way you know, if I miss this, because again, life happens. If I miss this because my kid, for example, right now, she has the flu. If classes were still on, I would totally miss putting a discussion post. So I know that maybe I'll only get a 10 instead of a 15 out of my discussion post. So where am I going to get those other 5 points? Like, how thorough do I need to be on my assignments? So I have that. Now my bookmarks are a little bit different. And so I'm like, I literally have a bookmark that says school, and then it has WVU. It has, again, folders for everything. So I have links for every document or whatever that I've pulled up from the library, so that hopefully by the time I graduate in the summer, I'll be able to pull all of those resources and not have to start researching all over again. So that's how I do it, Dami. I hope that helps, but that's how I do it.
Oh my goodness, Daphne, can you teach this the next time? You are so, yes. And I love that you mentioned the syllabus and checking the points.
Yes.
That is because a lot of times students are like, I'm not sure. It's in your syllabus. It'll tell you how many points you need. So yes, you are. Yes, come teach this next time. You're doing wonderful, Daphne. So awesome. Well, is there anything else? Any other suggestions?
I do also like, just to feed off of what Daphne mentioned again, I like the fact that you are saving all of that for the capstone, because once you get to that capstone, it's going to be so helpful to have all of those resources in one place, because you're going to use them. The capstone is essentially putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So that's going to be so incredibly helpful, and definitely going to pay off once you get to the summer. All right. Well, anything else at all?
Yes, Gina made a good point. You don't have access to your past classes. So
Yes.
All the folks starting in spring, you're getting some really good advice here from
Yes.
our students who have been in the program. So definitely take all this stuff to heart. So
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us in our first time. Again, if there's a topic or something you would like for us to cover, send a message to either Bree or I, or put it in the marketing communication, the LinkedIn group. We will happily put those resources together for you to help you in your program.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all again, and looking forward to seeing you all sometime soon in the future. We'd love to have you at our next workshop, and just keep an eye out. We'll have that schedule coming out for next semester very shortly. So thank you again for joining, and have a great rest of your week. And of course, happy holidays. Those are coming up too. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.